All right. Uh, Let me tell you about the topics we would be covering today. Uh, we would be covering two important components of Indian polity. First, preamble, which we started yesterday, and second, जो heading हम लोग cover करेंगे, that is salient features of Indian Constitution. All right. Uh, Before this, before I come down to preamble, before we again go back to where we left preamble, uh, let me ask you a few things we discussed yesterday. All right. Uh, can anyone tell what you mean by grand norm? We talked about grand norm. What do you mean by this? Constitution को grand norm बोलते हैं. Why?
Because it's a set of norms, rules.
Norm means rules, and we call constitution as grand norm. Reason is all rules are derived from constitution. He is saying all rules derive from constitution. Uh, Let me put it in more simple words, and let me bring in more clarity in this. All rules derive their light from the constitution. All right. About norms, make it very clear. Make it very clear. We need to know what is normal. What is normal? Normal is something that is acceptable, by everyone as normal. All right. We need to be clear with what is normal. So for that, there must be certain norms which we have to follow. All right. There must be some norms which have to be followed. All right. Up there would be many norms. There would be many norms, and always remember, beta, we live in a country which is quite diverse. We have lots of diversities. All right. We would be talking about different diversities. All right. And in a country full of diversity, there need to be norms, and those norms have to derive light from a common thing, from a common document. Why? The reason is why there must be a supreme document, why some document must be treated by everyone as grand norm. बेटा इसकी रिक्वायरमेंट इसलिए होती है कि if there will be any conflict, all right, there must be something as savior. All right. So when there is a conflict, whenever there is a chaos, whenever we are disturbed, whenever things are not stable, we look towards constitution, and constitutional values, whatever is mentioned under constitution, it is decided in the light of that. It hota hai? It is decided in the light of that. All right. So norms would be there. And in a diverse country like India, बेटा, conflict की chances बहुत रहती हैं. ठीक है. तो again there must be some document which should be grand norm. Alright, one thing. Second, मैंने आपसे डिस्कस किया था एक टर्म था कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म एंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. ठीक है. तो what is the difference between constitutionalism and constitution? Anyone? Please interact beta in the class. Please come up with your observations beta. This will make these classes meaningful.
Constitution means set of rules and constitutionalism means to follow these rules. The country which follow these rules.
Anyone else?
Constitution is a document which have rules and regulations, while constitutionalism is an ideology or a spirit on which a country works.
There can be a constitution but not a.
Mm-hmm.
Constitution is the supreme law of the country. And
Is the supreme law of the country. Okay. And what about constitutionalism?
it is broader term than constitution, and it is the value features which are taken care of and given importance in any country. It is basically a mechanism which gives legitimacy to the democratic government.
Anyone else? Any other take on this? One thing we are clear with, the constitution is a document. Constitution is a document. Document comprising certain principles, comprising certain articles, comprising certain provisions. हाँ जी.
एवरी लॉ इंटेलेक्चुअल डिबेट और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को आपने बताया था बेसिकली बोलते हैं सुप्रीम लॉ.
Supreme law हो गया बेटा. Constitution, we are done with constitution. We all are clear with constitution. We all have this idea that constitution is a document. All right, it is there. Now the thing is we need to be clear with constitutionalism. Constitutionalism is something more important than having constitution. This is the idea which I want to float. Constitutionalism is more important than having a constitution. We may have a constitution, beta. We may have a constitution. Hitler had a constitution. Hitler, dictator like Hitler, he had a constitution. But this did not guarantee that he had constitutionalism. His country had constitutionalism. Constitutionalism comprises certain values बेटा, certain core values. ठीक है. अच्छा, एक चीज और बेटा, please try to use catchy words. All right, you can be more impressive with catchy words. All right, in your answers also, and even when you would be facing interview. So there are certain core values. There are certain core values which we cannot ignore. Getting it? Any core value? Anything which you consider to be a core value, which every country must have? Yes. Equality. All right. Anyone else? Justice, equality. These are core values, beta. If just take it in this manner, you have a constitution, beta. You are head of state of a country. You have a constitution, and you don't have any provision in that constitution dealing with justice and equality, which they were talking about. So, would your constitution would be of any meaning? The thing is this. Yes, beta. आप बताएं.
डेमोक्रेसी.
Whatever you consider to be the core value, beta. Whatever you consider to be the most fundamental that must be present in the constitution. If it is absent, if it is not there in the constitution, then you may have a constitution, but that constitution would be of no use for a common man. The thing is this. So please be clear with constitutionalism. Why I am stressing so much on these fundamental concepts? Because in advanced discussions, when we would be discussing issues of Indian polity, when we would be discussing current issues, current political issues, so you should have words. You should be in a position to frame your answers. You should be able to frame your expressions. All right. So these words you can always use. All right. Apart from this, I also made it very clear, beta, that we have lots of laws. We have lots of laws. Okay, we are a big country. We have central laws, we have state laws, we have local laws. Even we are party to international treaties. So there is international law also. Getting it? Behind every law, please be clear with this. Behind every law, there is an intellectual debate. बेटा जो आप कोट कर रहे थे, ऑलवेज रिमेंबर देयर इज इंटेलेक्चुअल डिबेट, और उस इंटेलेक्चुअल डिबेट के पीछे हमेशा बेटा आप देखिएगा कि देयर वुड बी अ प्रॉब्लम विच हैज टू बी एड्रेस्ड। राइट, एक ये भी सिनेरियो है, प्लीज कीप दिस इन माइंड। कई बार हम इस सिनेरियो को यूज करेंगे अपने डिस्कशन में। एनीथिंग एल्स विच वी डिस्कस्ड बिफोर प्रियम्बल? हाँ जी बेटा पूछिए।
सर फॉर एग्जांपल अगर कोई कंट्री है वहां पे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है बट
ठीक
इट
है,
इज एक्चुअली नॉट बीइंग फॉलोड बाय द पीपल ऑफ दैट कंट्री,
ओके।
सो विल दैट बी कंसीडर्ड अ वायलेशन ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म और एन एब्सेंस ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म?
फिर से पूछिए बेटा ये क्वेश्चन।
सर अगर कोई कंट्री है,
हाँ 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 हाँ,
वहां पे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है,
ठीक है,
बट वहां के जो सिटीजंस हैं दे आर नॉट फॉलोइंग दैट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन,
ओके। इज एवरीवन फॉलोइंग? हाँ जी, ठीक है, आगे बोलिए बेटा।
तो ये एक वायलेशन ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म होगा या हम इसे एब्सेंस ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म करेंगे?
आ, ये वायलेशन ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म होगा, वायलेशन ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म। ठीक है, एब्सेंस नहीं, एब्सेंस नहीं, क्योंकि देयर वुड बी, क्योंकि आप कह रहे हो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है और आपने जिस तरीके से क्वेश्चन पूछा है, इट implies that it has the core values, that constitution is complete in itself, it has core values. अब the thing is कि every constitution has a mechanism also कि if there will be any conflict, there would be a forum, there would be a forum mentioned in that constitution. तो अगर आपका केस हम लेते हैं बेटा, अपने, मैंने रिपीट करवाया था क्योंकि द थिंग इज कि दिस शुड बी क्लियर टू ऑल ऑफ अस। आपके केस में वायलेशन मतलब लोग फॉलो नहीं कर रहे, ठीक है, कोई कोई पार्टी है, देयर इज अ डिपार्टमेंट और देयर इज एनी एंटिटी, ठीक है, विच इज नॉट फॉलोइंग द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस, देन इन दैट कंडीशन the the gr- the grieved party, मतलब who has the issue, he can approach, he, she or it, and it can be organization also, they can approach the forum mentioned in the if that forum is not there, then it would be absence of constitutionalism. All right, if forum is there, then it would be violation, and for that there is a redressal mechanism beta. अब इंडियन, अगर इसको प्रैक्टिकल वे में देखें, इसको रियल एग्जांपल में देखें, तो अगर हम इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की बात करते हैं, इंडिया में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिज्म भी है, देयर आर लॉट्स ऑफ कोर वैल्यूज। आप ही ने कहा था जस्टिस इक्वालिटी है बेटा इसमें, ठीक है। अब आते हैं कोई वायलेट करता है तो देयर इज अ जुडिशरी फॉर दैट, वी कैन अप्रोच जुडिशरी, एंड अगेन जुडिशरी कम्स इनटू द पिक्चर। कल ही किसी ने कहा था कि सर देयर इज अ लेजिस्लेटिव, एग्जीक्यूटिव, जुडिशरी, तो अगेन एक कंपोनेंट है बेटा, एंड दिस इज मेंशन्ड इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। तो ये एब्सेंस है। वेरी नाइस बेटा, वेरी नाइस, एंड यू शुड बी हैविंग दिस ऑब्जर्वेशन, यू शुड कम अप विद मोर such queries. All right, this will enhance your understanding. All right, Indian polity is a very significant thing beta. I would be repeating this in every class. Indian polity, if you are thorough with Indian polity, if you are done with the syllabus of Indian polity, you would be in a better position to understand current affairs. You would be better position to understand lots of concepts related to political science, public administration, sociology, economics. All right, so you have that, if you have that understanding, if you are clear with the constitutional provisions, that will help you in various ways. All right, anything else beta which we talked about before coming down to preamble? I think this is what we did. All right, now coming to, let's once again come back to preamble. This was the main topic which we started yesterday. All right, about preamble, first of all, preamble is introductory statement to a document, for any document, preamble is an introductory statement. Introductory statement for any document, beta. This is for any document. This is applicable to any document. All right. इसको थोड़ा और अच्छे से हम देखें तो what it tells about that document is, if we have a preamble for any document, it is an introductory statement. It tells what are the, what is a philosophy, what is a principle, purpose, ideas and aspirations, objectives of that document. Let me repeat. Preamble can be taken as introductory statement for any document. It tells purpose, philosophy, principles, ideas, aspirations, objectives of that document. All right. Now, this is a literal meaning of preamble. Now, let's relate it with what we are talking about. For we have gathered in this class. We have gathered here to discuss Indian polity. And in this respect, we have to take this, we have to relate this with the constitution. And regarding constitution, again, for any document, it tells its purpose, philosophy, principles, ideas, aspirations, objectives. So in this, if we keep this under the same lens, in this sense, what we see here is that it tells the principles, philosophy, purpose, idea, aspirations, objectives of the constitution. So one simple understanding of this is, again, we can take that document as constitution. Apart from this, there are four things, beta. There are four important points under preamble, which you find in every book, which you find in every reading material related to preamble. First is, it tells about, please be clear with this. First is, it tells about source of the constitution. It tells about the source of the constitution. This is the first. Second is it tells about the nature of Indian state. Third, it tells about the objectives. It states objectives. What were the objectives? And then fourth one is date and its adoption. I think I made you write yesterday these four important components, important subheadings under preamble. All right. Apart from this, there are certain common notions. This is a gist. This is an introduction to constitution. All that you can use whenever you require. All right. It is a preamble from where constitution commences. It emanates from preamble. All right. And this idea of having a preamble, we took it from what we talked about yesterday. We took it from USA. This idea of having a preamble was borrowed from USA. All right. So this is what we talked about. इसके अलावा, this was motivated by having a preamble was motivated by USA, and इसके अलावा, personally, what I wanted you all to take into consideration is that the wording, the framing of words, how words were chosen. All right. And very nicely the words are crafted, very nicely the words are framed. So every word, the framing, all right, when word is there, how it has been used, all right, everything has a meaning. They had a meaning for that. All right, there is a meaning, there's a hidden meaning, and we need to be clear with that. And having this understanding, again, I told you that this can be used, preamble, whatever understanding we develop under Indian this preamble of our constitution, No need to ask, beta. Come in. And we can always use, I told you, we can use this in Indian polity, we can use this to frame short answers, long answers, even in essays, beta, which have the this constitutional dimensions. There, these words, these values which are mentioned in the preamble, you can always use them, and even in your interview also. All right. So please take preamble. You need to be clear with the preamble thing. Then we came down to the first one, that was sources of the constitution. Here I told you that first we have first bracket we made of we the we the people of India. What it conveys, beta? What I made you write? ये क्या convey करता है?
Source of constitution.
Indian people and the constitution is derived from that.
Anyone else? What I made you write under this? We the people of India. What it conveys?
It establishes the source of constitution.
Okay, one thing. Whenever you have to mention the source of Indian Constitution, because this is that heading, we the people of India. All right. So this establishes the source. What else?
Sovereignty in the people of India.
Okay, sovereignty with the people of India. It lies with the people of India.
Is the will of the people.
So ultimate source of the Constitution is the will of the people. So always remember that the source of the Constitution is the Constitution was made for people. So utmost importance was given to people. Again, there is a critical analysis also of this term, that whether in real terms it was for people or not. We will again uh, discuss this later, but now let's take it in the right in the right approach, and in the balanced approach, and that is again we the people of India here conveys that the sovereignty lies with the will of the people. All right. uh, इसके अलावा then the second thing which we talked about was that was to all its citizens. What this conveys? To all its citizens. Again, every citizen without distinction. This would be available. This would be for everyone without any distinction. Then the third thing which we discussed was to secure. What was this, beta? What did we discussed here? To secure.
Conveys guarantee, assurance, confidence to secure.
So here we have guarantee, here we have assurance, here we have confidence. Why it was required, beta? Why these three were required? Why these three were required? It conveys guarantee, it conveys an assurance, it conveys an confidence, it conveys
People are lacking that these things.
people were lacking, beta. Always remember, you all uh, have to go through modern history. Modern history may there is a struggle for this, what we got. All right. There is a you can say big struggle. Lots of sacrifice was made, and this we were lacking, beta. We were lacking, and now we got it. So to secure word conveys that. It gives that assurance. It gives the confidence which we were lacking. All right. So this is there. Then we shifted towards the second component of preamble, that was nature of Indian state. Nature of Indian state and nature of Indian polity. And here we have a preamble to the Constitution declares India to be. Yes, beta, it would be. We missed yesterday. It would be. What we have, beta? Declares to be sovereign, then socialist, secular, then हाँ जी बेटा democratic and republic. All right. So broadly, this falls under the the category, that is, here we talk about nature of Indian state. Nature of Indian polity. All right. So first is sovereign. Sovereign. Whenever we come across this term sovereign, there must be two understandings. All right. There are two things which we have to take into consideration. First is we would be taking care of if a country is sovereign, that country will take care of its internal affairs. No external interference. One thing is this. All right. Now coming to इंडियन पोजीशन. इंडियन पोजीशन में जब हम इंडियन स्टेट की बात करते हैं, इंडियन पॉलिटी की बात करते हैं, तो हियर वी हैव वन मोर अंडरस्टैंडिंग, दैट इज sovereignty lies with the will of the people. Sovereignty lies with the will of the people. All right. So again, the legislative we have, I think I did not mention this. The legislative we have, executive we have, judiciary we have, that is there. These organs are there. These three organs of the government are there to serve people, to serve the people. All right. So this is what impression we get when we talk about sovereignty. All right. Then we have second uh, component here, that is of socialist. All right. Socialism is there, and regarding this, I told you when we would be coming to this term time and again. Lots of under different headings we would be talking about socialist. What do we have under socialist? There are few terms. First is welfare state, beta. I told you yesterday we have shifted from police state to welfare state. Police state had different priorities. They had their own ways. Okay? Their motto was different. Their objectives are different. We got independence. We became welfare state. Welfare state has entirely different objectives. The main motto of welfare state is maximum
Maximum welfare.
happiness of people, welfare of the people. All right. Social schemes are there. All right. So like welfare orientation जो है, that comes up when we talk about welfare state. All right. Governance के बारे में क्या बताया था मैंने कल आपको? What did we talk about governance? Governance is a system. Okay. What else? Hmm. ओके, गवर्नमेंट में लेजिस्लेटिव आता है, एग्जीक्यूटिव आता है, जुडिशरी आता है, और गवर्नेंस मींस जो इनको गवर्न करता है. एनी अदर थिंग बेटा?
deals with governance.
पब्लिक डील्स विद गवर्नेंस. वेयर डू वी फाइंड गवर्नेंस?
So we are the part of the governance till birth to death.
We are part of governance. Let me make it correct. Let me correct this. We deal with governance. We deal with governance from birth to death. Anything else? You need to be very prompt, beta. You need to be prompt when governance enters the class. All right. I told you, you all are preparing to be part of governance. After your selection, you would be part of governance. Having understanding of Indian polity, I told you, I gave example of Article 15 movie. In Article 15 movie, there are number of dialogues, there are number of scenes in which the maker of the movie has given this impression that once we are selected, For those who are in authority, they must always remember the core constitutional values. Clear? So that should be reflected beta in your governance. That should be reflected in your governance when you would be part of the governance. आपकी functioning अभी भी बेटा there may be uh, there may be laxity, there may be, but there are exceptions also. There are officers, there are uh, people in the governance, those who mark their presence, all right, with their own way. They have their own style, they have their own statement, all right. So the thing is, see, governance is something very important. We have to deal with governance. Governance is everywhere, beta. When you said that from birth to death, from birth certificate to death certificate, we have to deal with different functionaries. Everywhere we are governance, we have different, um, you can say, legal arrangements around us. There are range of different offices, different departments, and for range of day-to-day activities, we have to deal with them. We have to deal with them. So governance is gets more importance. Governance becomes more welfare oriented when we are in a welfare state. तो socialist में भी जो जो चीजें हैं बेटा, you need to be clear with this. और your distributive justice की बात हमने कल की थी, डेवलपमेंट ऑफ ऑल की हम लोगों ने बात की थी, रिमूविंग इनइक्वालिटी की हमने बात की थी. These all are important components of governance. And again, this governance is always, जब आपको governance के बारे में कुछ लिखना है, तो again you can always relate this with the values we have, values which are mentioned in the preamble. So socialist यहाँ पे बात करता है, ठीक है. इसके अलावा यहाँ पर आपको एक और चीज देखनी है, एक सोशलिज्म है बेटा, कम्युनिस्ट जो आइडियोलॉजी है, मार्क्सवादी जो अप्रोच है, ठीक है. अगर उसको हम कंपेयर करें विद दिस, व्हाट इज द पोजीशन इन इंडिया बेटा, एक और डायमेंशन है इसके बारे. व्हाट इज योर टेक, आपने जरूर पढ़ा होगा कहीं ना कहीं. मार्क्सवादी विचारधारा की हम बात करें, कम्युनिज्म की अगर हम बात करें, और हमारे यहाँ जो समाजवाद है इसकी हम बात करें, तो इज देयर एनी डिफरेंस बेटा, और वी स्ट्रिक्टली फॉलो व्हाट वाज advocated by Marx, what was advocated by communist ideologies?
Yes.
We are not pure socialist. Our socialism is different बेटा. यहाँ पे हम मार्क्सवादी अप्रोच को भी मतलब भर का अडॉप्ट करते हैं, एंड देन वी हैव गांधीयन आइडियोलॉजी, ठीक है. एंड दिस मिक्सचर विच वी हैव, अगेन विच इज नॉट प्योर, this mixture which we have, this is tilted towards the ideology of or Gandhian values beta. So there are Gandhian values also, again which we would be coming back to. So first time we are bringing in Gandhiji into our interaction. So there are Gandhian values, there are ideologies which were advocated by Gandhiji, all right, and they have played a very important role in framing of the constitution. Still beta, in implementation of constitution, whenever there is a conflict, there are certain ideologies, there are certain ideas, there are certain values which are taken into consideration. तो ये भी एक approach है, again related with socialist. And please be clear with this, that we have our own system, and that system is again tilted towards the values which were promoted by Gandhiji. All right. Then we talked about secularism. I told you that we would be dealing this in separately. Again, this is related to the spirituality. Spirituality you can link with socialist also, because the spiritual ideas which we have, again upon which the Gandhian ideology was based. So that spiritual thing, that spiritual element is present here also, and again to some extent under secularism also, which we would be dealing separately when we would be going through fundamental rights. Then we talked about democracy. Democracy का मतलब ये था बेटा कि again we fought for this constitution, we fought for our own constitution, and again participation of all we always fought for. We wanted participation of Indians in every affair. All right. So here democracy meant participation of individuals, and this can be guaranteed only when we have democracy. So this was required in that manner, in that respect. And then we have republic. Republic here simply means whether titular, whether real head of state elected, whether real or titular. It is again a different debate, but the head of state has to be elected. So this is what was conveyed by this term republic. Now come to objectives, beta. Third component, objectives. And under objectives, the objective is to secure all its citizens to Hanji beta, to secure all its citizens, to secure all its citizens, to secure all its citizens, justice, then liberty, then equality, fraternity. So these are some objectives, and under basically we have four concepts. We have four concepts. First is justice, second is liberty, third is equality, and fourth is fraternity. And when we see this order of these four concepts, justice was given the first priority. The priority was given to, or justice was considered to be the most significant of these concepts. The reason is that unless there is justice, the reason in just one line you can mention that unless there is justice, liberty, unless there is justice, liberty is meaningless. Liberty is meaningless. You talk about justice, you can relate that with liberty, and you can always talk about that we have these values, we have justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, and thus the most significant is justice, and the reason is because just without justice, liberty would be is meaningless. All right. Now coming to justice, beta. Now let's uh, start with justice. Justice has three facets. It has three facets. It has three dimensions. Justice has three dimensions. Justice has three dimensions. First is social, economic, and political. Social, economic, and political. Social, economic, and political. And the reason why the social is kept first. The reason is without social justice, without social justice, without social justice, the citizen would not be, the citizen would not be able to, the citizen would not be able to secure, would not be able to secure economic justice, would not be able to secure economic justice. Second thing, second observation, second understanding which we have to develop is that without social and economic, without social and economic justice, one cannot achieve political justice, cannot achieve political justice. It means, another words, another line is that social justice and economic justice are basis for are the basis for political justice are the basis for political justice. और इसका प्रैक्टिकल इसका जो इम्प्लीकेशन है वो आप एक एग्जांपल के रूप में लिख लीजिए. वोटर ओनली अ वोटर who is only a voter. Now let's come down to the level of individual. All right, only a voter who is socially and economically strengthened, who is socially and economically strengthened can hope to earn political justice, can hope to earn political justice, can hope to earn political justice. All right. So economically, he must be in a better position. Sorry, socially and economically. All right. So if you are in a better position in this in this manner, only then you would be in a position to strive for political justice. Social justice, economic justice are the basis for political justice, and that is why the most significant concept here, the justice, has three dimensions: social, economic, and political. Everything starts from social. Social is something which is very near to all of us. Then we shift towards economic, and then when we are done with social and economic, and then we become eligible for striving or to go for political justice. So that is why these words were kept in this manner. Now come to second concept. Second concept is of liberty. Is of liberty. Is of liberty. Liberty of thought. We have thought. Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. And worship. Liberty of thought, second beta, thought, expression, then belief, faith, and worship. All right. Here you can mention that there can be no expression. There can be no expression. The second thing is expression. There can be no expression without thinking. There can be no expression without thinking. There can be no expression without thinking. It is liberty of thought. It is liberty of thought. This means that it is liberty of thought which enables liberty of expression. Next, one who has neither thought. One who has neither thought. First just write, then I will explain. One who neither has thought nor has expression and the next one, belief. They lack in faith. They lack in faith. They lack in faith. They lack in faith. We started with there can be no expression without thinking. It is the liberty of thought which enables liberty of expression. All right, this is there. So we understand expression, and we understand thought, the importance of thinking at the initial level, and from thinking we jump to expression, and these two are the basis for belief, are the basis for belief. ठीक है? Once we are done with our thinking, once we are done with expression, we start expressing that, and then that becomes our belief. So these two, the first two are the basis for belief, and then who has neither this thought nor expression, as well as the next important belief, they lack in faith. All right. Next is respect for thought. 1, 2, 3 and 4 कर दीजिए, तो that will make it more clear. Respect for thought 1, second expression, respect for thought expression, third belief, fourth faith of one by another. Now please go through these lines, that respect for thought expression, belief and faith of one by another, of one by another, would give a meaning to worship, would give meaning to worship, would give meaning to worship. And the most important thing here is, it is such worship, it is such worship which pose no risk, which pose no risk, which pose no risk. We talked about expression. Expression is not possible without thinking. So everything starts from thought, then we shift towards expression. Once we are this done with the thought expression, then that becomes our belief, and then we, without having these three, again, if we don't have these three, thought, we don't have thought, we don't have expression, we don't have belief, then we lack in faith, beta. Only when we are done with first three, then we reach the level of faith. And these four respect of these four components of liberty, ठीक है, they of one by another, ठीक है. Now the thing is कि that would be respected. You have another person is respecting that. All right, and that position gives meaning to the worship, and this kind of worship, this is the ideal position, beta. This is the ideal position. This is the ideal position which has to be there, and this worship pose no risk. This is what is conveyed under this liberty. So it has lots of dimensions. So whenever you have to discuss anything about liberty, again, this can be always used. Now come to equality. Equality of status and of opportunity. Equality of status and of opportunity. Equality of status and of opportunity. Only one line you have to mention, and this is inequality was considered to be the biggest hurdle, was considered to be the biggest hurdle or has been taken as a stumbling block, hurdle, stumbling block. And this is the reason, beta, why uh, we have the focus on equality, equality of status and of opportunity. Stumbling block, stumbling block, stumbling block or hurdle. Take it as hurdle. Take it as hurdle. So always, beta, inequality was something which was always taken to be that this is a curse, this is the biggest hurdle, and again this has to be removed. और again socialist वाले भी जो ideas हैं, Gandhian ideology भी जो है, they all always talked about, we have the impression that inequality has to be removed. Core values भी ये कहते हैं So whatever best we have, that talks about this. And again, the focus is to remove inequality, which is considered to be the hurdle. अगला लेके fraternity, feeling of brotherhood, emotional attachment, emotional attachment with the country, emotional attachment with the country. Are we emotionally attached with our country, बेटा? कैसे एक्सप्रेस करते हो बेटा अपने इमोशंस आप? Only on 3 public holidays. Is there any other way also?
Respecting our flag.
Respecting our flag. Always. So that should be on daily basis.
Respecting our nation.
Respecting our nation.
Keeping country.
Respecting each other.
Respecting each other. Okay. मूवीज आप जाते होंगे मूवी शुरू होने से पहले नेशनल एंथम ठीक है पर्पस रिस्पेक्ट दैट अटैच दैट कनेक्ट ओके सो दैट कनेक्ट मस्ट बी देयर बेटा दैट कनेक्ट मस्ट बी देयर ठीक है तो दिस इज व्हाट इज कन्वेड हियर ठीक है दिस इज व्हाट इज कन्वेड हियर एंड here the thing is it also assures the dignity of the individual. It also assures the dignity of the individual. It also assures the dignity of the individual. As well as promoting unity and integrity. As well as promoting unity and integrity. Unity and integrity. There were other dimensions also, but we are skipping that. We would be coming back to that later. Let's keep it till here that national anthem is there before every show. Then in front of every railway station we have national flag. We respect our national flag. That should be on daily basis. And again, emotional attachment must be there. Connect must be there. And again, the focus is to promote unity, integrity. All right. Next is there is one observation regarding liberty, equality, and fraternity, which we find in books. You can mention that. This is B.R. Ambedkar was of view that the principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity, liberty, equality, and fraternity. B.R. Ambedkar was of view that principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity should not be treated as separate items. Should not be treated as separate items. It must be taken as a trinity. It must be taken as trinity. To divorce one from another, to divorce one from another would, to divorce one from another would defeat the very purpose of, would defeat the very purpose of democracy, would defeat the very purpose of democracy. All right. So this was his idea. This was his observation regarding this, and we should always take this. We can use this observation to highlight the significance of these terms. All right. So this was taken so seriously that the one of the main brain behind the constitution, he he observed that these three must be taken together. They must be taken as a part of Trinity, and they should not be separated. They should not. They should be treated as one. And if we don't treat them as one, this will defeat the purpose of democracy. All right. So these are the objectives. These are, you can take it as the ideas also, aspirations also. And one more thing you can mention, that this is reflected in the fundamental rights also. So whatever we have talked about different dimensions of justice, social, economic, and political. We have talked about liberty. Liberty also had thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. Then we talked about equality, fraternity, having a connect with the nation. Again, these aspirations which we have, these ideas which we have, this is reflected in the fundamental rights. And that is why, in the light of these values, we have a dedicated chapter under a constitution which deals with fundamental rights. So this can be directly connected with the fundamental rights, the provisions which we have under our constitution, which cover fundamental rights. Now come to the last component under this, that is date of adoption. Date of adoption. Date of adoption. 26th day of November 1949. 26th day of November 1949. That's it. What we have under this. 26th day of November 1949. Now going back to the questions which have been asked in this regard. So again, apart from what we have talked about, apart from source, apart from the nature of Indian state, nature of Indian polity, apart from the ideas, aspirations, objectives, date of adoption, the issue which has been asked in the previous year is that whether this is part of the constitution or not. All right. So in this review, you can mention that whether preamble is a part of constitution or not. Whether preamble is a part of constitution or not. There are two leading cases. You will find some more cases, but according to uh, uh, ideally, you should only go through two cases. Ideally, all right. We have two major cases. First is Berubari case. Berubari case. Berubari case, 1960. And second one is Keshwanand Bharti case. Keshwanand Bharti case, 1973. Berubari case, 1960. Second is Keshwanand Bharti case, 1973. Here you can mention at one point of time, preamble was not considered to be a part of the constitution. It was not considered to be a part of the constitution. And here you can mention this was what was held in Berubari case of 1960. Berubari case not considered to be part of the constitution, 1960. Then came Keshwanand Bharti case. Decision of Berubari was reversed. A decision was reversed, and it was held that preamble does form the part of the constitution. Preamble does form the part of the constitution, because now this makes it more meaningful, beta. This makes this discussion also more meaningful. What was observed in Keshwanand Bharti case, and that was it has a significant role. Preamble has a significant role to play in the interpretation of provisions of constitution. It has a significant role to play in the interpretation of provisions of constitution. All right. So this is the reason. This was the main reason in Keshwanand Bharti case. This was considered to be a part of the constitution. अब एक और क्वेश्चन आता है बेटा, प्रीवियस ईयर्स में आपको दिखेगा, अमेंडमेंट, दैट इज अमेंडमेंट in the preamble, amendment in the preamble, the position is very simple and clear. Here you can mention that after Keshwanand Bharti case, it was accepted that preamble is a part of the constitution. Preamble is a part of the constitution. As part of the constitution, it can be amended under Article 368. Article 368. It can be amended under Article 368, but the basic structure should not be amended. Cannot be amended. So there are certain notions which are considered with the basic structure as per Keshwanand Bharti. हाँ जी. Article 368 beta. Article 368, it can be amended under Article 368 provided the basic structure is not disturbed. The basic structure is not disturbed. About basic structure, those who are new to this, in Keshwanand Bharti case, the judiciary, the Supreme Court came up with the concept of basic structure, or it is related to amendment. Amendment हम इसको take it in general way. Constitution का हम amendment कर सकते हैं, provided basic structure is not disturbed. कुछ चीजें हैं, there is a list of what comes under basic structure. So here also the position is same. हाँ जी. Spirit of the constitution का वो broad term है बेटा. Spirit of constitution और broad term है. एक component कह सकते हैं. One of the component of spirit of constitution, basic structure. ठीक है. तो the thing is this. So today the thing is this, and again जो amend हुए थे बेटा preamble में, the preamble is amended only once in 1976 by 42nd Amendment Act. और जो words जो डाले गए थे socialist, secular and integrity. Socialist, secular, comma and integrity, ये तीन जो words हैं बेटा, इनको insert किया गया था, इनको जोड़ा गया था, add किया गया था. Socialist, सेकुलर और तीसरा था एंड इंटीग्रिटी. ठीक है. तो दिस इज अ कंप्लीट पिक्चर बेटा ऑफ प्रियम्बल. वी आर डन विद द प्रियम्बल. वी वुड बी कमिंग बैक टू प्रियम्बल वेयर व्हेन इट वुड बी रिक्वायर्ड. ठीक है. तो यू हैव दिस विद यू एंड नाउ यू जस्ट गो थ्रू द प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस. हमने अपनी तरफ से जो कवर करना था कर लिया. नाउ यू कम अप विद, यू सी व्हाट इज लेफ्ट एंड देन अगेन वी कैन मेक पार्ट ऑफ दैट, make part of our discussion in the class. All right, so go through the previous year question. देखिए इससे आप solve कर पा रहे नहीं कर पा रहे, questions आप कर पा रहे नहीं कर पा रहे. All right. Now,
So when it was amended,
बेटा 42nd amendment 1976. 42nd amendment 1976. अब आपसे कोई पूछता है preamble को amend कर सकते हैं नहीं कर सकते हैं? कर सकते हैं. ग्राउंड क्या है कि हाँ इसको हमने पार्ट माना है. कहाँ माना गया? केशवानंद भारती में माना गया. हम कर सकते हैं प्रोवाइडेड कि हम बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर को टच ना करें. ठीक है, ये चीज है. नाउ टेल मी अबाउट रूल ऑफ लॉ. व्हाट डू मीन बाय रूल ऑफ लॉ? हाँ जी बेटा बताइए. बोलिए बोलिए.
Every citizen is equal before the law, and for every citizen law is equal. और इसमें country जो है एक set of defined rules are necessary.
और कोई? रूल ऑफ लॉ. हाँ जी बताइए. बैठे रहिए बेटे. नो नीड टू स्टैंड, नो नीड टू आस्क व्हेन यू एंटर द क्लास. आते रहिए जाते रहिए बैठे रहिए. बोलिए बोलिए बेटे.
the country is governed by the rules and regulations.
Country is governed by rules and regulations.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there must be a rule. There are certain rules, and according to that rules, things must govern. Country must be governed. Anyone else?
So it means that
discriminate in different.
There shall be no discrimination. Everyone is equal before law, equality before law. And again, there is a rule, there are rules, there are certain guidelines according to which things must be governed, country must be governed. Anyone else?
There are set of rules and regulations which need to be followed by the people of country.
Hmm. हमारे कुछ रिलेटिव्स हैं वो बाहर रहते हैं और जब भी हम लोग शादी ब्याह में मिलते हैं तो हमारा जनरल क्वेश्चन उनको यही होता है कि क्या आपको फर्क नजर आता है वहाँ के सिस्टम में यहाँ के सिस्टम में। हमेशा जितनी बार भी हमारा डिस्कशन हुआ है ना वो एक चीज के बारे में जरूर बात करते हैं और वो ये बात करते हैं कि मोमेंट वी लैंड इन इंडिया, मोमेंट वी रीच एयरपोर्ट, जिस तरीके से हमको हैंडल किया रहता है, जिस तरीके से हमको एड्रेस किया रहता है, तो हमें पता लग जाता है कि हम लोग अब इंडिया आ गए हैं। जिस तरीके से हमसे बात की जाती है एयरपोर्ट पे, मीनिंग बाई उनका ये कहना है कि जैसे एग्जांपल मैं देता हूँ ऑस्ट्रेलिया। ऑस्ट्रेलिया में जो हमारे रिलेटिव्स हैं, जो हमारे नोन हैं, जो वहाँ पे रहते हैं, वो ये कहते हैं कि वहाँ पर अगर कोई पार्लियामेंटेरियन भी है ना, बहुत बड़ा लीडर है, बहुत बड़ी अथॉरिटी में है, कोई कमिश्नर है, कोई मेयर है या कोई भी पब्लिक रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है, कोई अथॉरिटी होल्ड करता है, तो आपसे बात बड़ी पोलाइटली करेगा। वो आपसे बात बहुत ही पोलाइटली करेगा। इवन पुलिस भी जब आपको एप्रीहेंड करती है, अरेस्ट करती है, तो बड़े रिस्पेक्टफुली, जेंटलमैन प्लीज कम दिस साइड, ठीक है। और वहां पर इफ समथिंग इज मेंशन्ड इन रूल्स, जैसे आप कह रहे थे बेटा कि देयर आर सर्टेन रूल्स, देयर आर सर्टेन रेगुलेशंस व्हिच हैव टू बी फॉलोड, वहां पर अगर कुछ रूल्स में है, अगर रेगुलेशन में मेंशन्ड है, तो फिर आपको चक्कर नहीं लगाने बेटा। कहने का मतलब है कि अगर वहां की कोई यूनिवर्सिटी है और वहां पे ये लिख दिया है कि ये भैया ये आपको जो सर्टिफिकेट है या जो मार्कशीट है आपको विद इन 3 डेज मिलेगी, तो विद इन 3 डेज मिलेगी। आई थिंक इज दिस, ठीक है। बट हियर द सिचुएशन इज entirely different. Not only in our country, there are many countries where utmost importance is not given to rule of law. और हम जब उनको बोलते हैं ना ये चीज की डिफरेंस क्या है बेटा, तो जो द वर्ड जो था, जो एवरी टाइम विच दे आंसर इज कि वहां पे रूल ऑफ लॉ है। हियर वी हैव डिफरेंट बेटा, हियर वी हैव रूल, द फेस वैल्यू पे काम होता है। आई थिंक इज दिस, देयर अ थिंग इज कि रूल्स आर देयर and everyone follows that. So this is the difference beta. So rule of law, again we would be coming to this rule of law, and rule of law is one of the core value beta, core value of even constitutionalism. Constitutionalism भी इसकी बात करता है कि there must be rule of law in a country, because if we have rule of law, बहुत सारा जो conflict होता है बेटा अपने आप रिजॉल्व हो जाता है, ठीक है। You become stress free, ठीक है। तो वी वुड बी यूजिंग दिस, so please be clear with this, ठीक है। Now let's shift to next heading. Just we will start today, that is the salient features of Indian Constitution. Salient features of Indian Constitution. Salient features of Indian Constitution. This is something again you will find in every book, so we won't go much in that manner the way we have gone through preamble. This would be just we would be understanding what is the basis of the headings we have under, or what is the basis of the features we have of the Indian Constitution. First is modern Constitution. Modern Constitution, everywhere we find it is, we have a modern Constitution, our Constitution is modern. And here what we have to understand is that we have taken provisions from old established constitutions. So if a document has been derived from the earlier established documents, so it implies, this means that whatever document will come up, that would be a modern, new. All right, so this is the modern constitution. This is only what you have to keep in mind. Now come to second point. Second point is written constitution. Written constitution oblique largest constitution. Now what we want you to understand is what we want you to understand is कि written constitution और largest constitution ये feature है. So you should be clear with why written constitution. Not only कि कहीं पे unwritten होता है हमारे यहाँ written है. Why written was required? This is something which we have to be clear with. Why written and why situation came up that we ended with largest constitution. ऐसा क्या था? क्यों ऐसा हुआ? We should be clear with this. Clear? पहले लिखिए बेटा इसमें. Originally it had, in this regard there are few facts. Again, for those who are new in this preparation, for them it is important. Originally it had 395 articles. Originally it had 395 articles. It had 395 articles arranged under 22 parts and 8 schedules. So quite lengthy, quite elaborate and detailed. So this makes it quite lengthy, elaborate and detailed. And it became world's largest constitution. Now coming to why. Reasons. What were the reasons? तो पहला रीजन लिखिए. Reasons were constitution had to deal with not only central government, also of state. Second, center-state relations required detailed provisions, detailed norms or provisions, detailed norms, unwritten British conventions were reduced to writing. Existence of various communities and groups. Oblique great diversity. Regional basis, religion basis, language basis, कई क्लासेस खत्म हो जाएंगी, बेसिस खत्म नहीं होंगे. Diversity. Okay. Now come to the point, beta, which we have to understand. Mutual distrust. In this scenario, there was mutual distrust among communities. Mutual distrust. Both he mutual distrust within communities, within groups. Okay. So attention was motto was to tackle this, to deal with this, to remove this, ताकि हम एक यूटोपियन मॉडल को डेवलप कर सके, आइडियल सिचुएशन को क्रिएट कर सके, इसको दूर करना था बेटा, ठीक है। और इतना इजी नहीं था बेटा, ठीक है। फॉर दिस यू कैन मेंशन फॉर दिस फंडामेंटल राइट्स पहला, दूसरा लिखे डीपीएसपी, सिटीजनशिप, फंडामेंटल राइट बेटा, डीपीएसपी, सिटीजनशिप, ऑफिशियल लैंग्वेज, इलेक्शन, जुडिशरी एक्सेट्रा। तो ये सब चीजों के बारे में हमको लिखना पड़ा बेटा, ठीक है। लास्ट तीन कौन से हैं बेटा आपके? कौन सा बेटा? ऑफिशियल लैंग्वेज,
जुडिशरी, इलेक्शन।
हाँ। यहाँ पे इन तीनों को ब्रैकेट में या आप ये लिख लीजिए कि इस तरीके के जो कंसर्न्स है ना, इन अदर कंट्रीज दे वर डेल्ट बाय ऑर्डिनरी लॉज एंड हियर वी हैड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस। तो एक वन मोर टेक ऑन दिस इज दैट इश्यूज लाइक these three, national language, judiciary, election, these in other countries they were dealt with ordinary laws, but here they were made part of the constitution. ठीक, so let's keep it till here, ठीक है। We will continue this, we will very quickly complete this salient features and we will shift to the next heading. All right, so today we have revised the fundamental concepts, we have completed preamble. All right, we have gone through the four components of preamble where we talked about how it talks about how it uh, um, makes clear the source of the constitution, then state the nature of Indian state, nature of Indian polity, objectives, aspirations, and then date when it was applicable, and then whether it was part of the constitution or not, when it was amended or when it was amended, and then we came down to salient features and where our focus is ki, where we were at this point ki we have a very written constitution as well as largest constitution. So what were the factors which led to that we had to go for a written constitution and we became the largest constitution. So these were certain factors. So that's it for today. We will continue in the next class.